Today we'll be continuing our adventure through Elden Ring as a tree sentinel. So I'm gonna give you guys a heads up like straight at the beginning. The first half of this video most likely will just be me traversing all the way from Altus Plateau up to the mountaintops of the giants and taking care of some of the things that I want to do up here. However, all of my videos are divided up into chapters, so if you just want to skip right to the good stuff, well then you can do that. But otherwise, for the rest of you, sit back, relax. We're about to just have a chill ride on Torrent. Got some stuff that I want to talk about. Alright, now thankfully, I've been doing like a New Game Zero run in my free time, so today I won't get lost. I actually know where I'm going, I think. It's honestly been so refreshing doing that New Game Zero run in my free time. It's allowed me to not only learn the game a lot better, but I also feel like I just have a better understanding of the game in general now. At the time of me recording this, I'm not finished, but by the time that this video goes up, I am probably finished it, and I'm looking to beat the game in under 15 hours. All I have left is Millennia and Radagon and Elden Beast. I only got to try Millennia one time, but then I realized I was probably just a bit underleveled, so I went and did some other stuff to go back to it later. Honestly, this is probably gonna sound crazy coming from me, considering I'm one of the people that complains about Millennia more than like anyone. I don't know if it's just my build, or maybe it's because I'm actually doing it on New Game Zero, whereas usually I'd be trying to fight her on like some crazy New Game Plus difficulty, but she's actually not too bad. However, there are some tweaks that I wish they could make to her. So for the most part, and I stand by this, I've said this many times before, but Millennia is actually a really easy fight, and the only part that really makes her difficult is I mean, originally, I would have said lifesteal, but honestly, lifesteal doesn't even make her that difficult. For me, it's really just waterfowl. However, I had an idea that could maybe balance out waterfowl to make it not as bad for players, while still keeping it in the fight and making it, you know, just feel like a bit more reasonable. So for those of you that don't know, the only effective ways to really dodge waterfowl at this point in time, at least that I know of, is either A, rock a light load, and then just sprint halfway across the arena as soon as you see her fly up to the air. Why am I looking in the inside of the horse right now? So either you run across the arena with a light load, or B, you do this other strategy. I think it's called Bloodhound's Fang or Bloodhound Step or something like that, but it basically lets you go like almost invisible and you can like dodge across the arena. I honestly always forget that the Fell Twins are here. Like, I fought them in my most recent New Game Zero run just because I was like, hey, I haven't fought them since my original New Game Zero run. And honestly, I'm gonna start doing this fight more when I do my runs. It's quick, but it's fun. Yes, I know I'm a wuss, I just use the summon, but I can't help it. I don't like doing gang fights on my own, if I'm being honest. The only gang fight that I ever actually do solo is Ornstein and Smo, just because that one's not really that tough, but like when it comes to gang fights in Elden Ring, I usually end up summoning for them. Then there's this other strategy where you can basically use a Great Shield and block the first wave of waterfowl, and then you dodge through the second, and then you dodge away from the third one. I don't know if that's the exact strategy, but it's something along those lines. And then there's also the other strategy of just getting lucky and hoping that you can survive it, or just spam dodging and hoping that you're far enough away to not get hit by it, or you just end up taking some of the hits. But I was thinking of ways that they can maybe improve the fight or make the move a bit more tolerable for any build, because at this current point in time, like, it's geared towards very specific builds, or at the very least, it kind of feels like it. I mean, I know, again, it's bearable and you can do it with certain builds, but it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world to pull off. I don't know why I'm out here anyway. I mean, I don't need to go in there, so I guess I'll just light up the Site of Grace and teleport back to the lift. Oh, wait. Oh, no, there was no Site of... Dang it, I'm gonna have to run the whole way back through Altus Plateau. Are you kidding me, man? I shouldn't have fought them. Oh, wait, no, I don't. Am I able to... Oh, wait, I think I can run back, I hope. No, this would be a great place for them to allow you to use Torrent, but no, I can't use Torrent. I don't know why, but it just won't let me. I think if they only had waterfowl trigger twice throughout the fight and at two very specific points, so once in the first phase, once she hits like 25 to 33% HP, something like that. Have it trigger right then, and then the same thing for the second phase. Have it only be like something that pops up once per phase, twice per fight in total. I feel like that would be a happy medium, because rather than having it happen once and then having players just have to get lucky and dodge it and then never truly learn it, if it happens twice, that means that they actually have to learn it to an extent to get through the fight efficiently. But furthermore, I wish that maybe they could just make her go up in the air for an extra like 10 to 15 seconds. You know, if you're playing on a good rig and you're playing at 60 FPS, that means it's only an extra like 4th or 5th of a second that I'm asking for here. I truly feel like if her tell just lasted for just a little bit longer, it would make it feel a bit more fair to the other builds, because at this current point in time, the only way that the move feels like actually fair is if you're rocking a light build. But when you're rocking like a medium build, like, it's still doable, you can still get away from it, but it's still just like a little bit too much of a struggle to get past, in my opinion. I know that's probably a hot take, and there's gonna be a bunch of people saying, oh, skill issue, but the thing is, it really isn't a skill issue, because I've beaten Millennia at least 7 times at this point. I'm just asking for this for the players that haven't been able to beat Millennia or have trouble with it, because I mean, I can agree that it's a little overtuned. But outside of that, in my most recent run, I've had a lot of like realizations with like Elden Ring combat and what I was doing wrong before and what a lot of other people are actually doing wrong just from like critiques and reviews and things that I've seen online. Now, I'm guilty of this too, but a lot of people went into this game with the mindset of like Souls combat. You know, they do a couple hits, you wait for that opening, you go in, you slash R1 a couple times, and then you back up and rinse and repeat. But the thing with Elden Ring's combat, for the people that are always saying like, you know, there's no openings, I can never get an attack in, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Which again, trust me, I'm guilty of that. I was one of those people for a very long time. This most recent run that I've been talking about, that I've been doing, you know, the whole New Game Zero run, I've been doing it without summons. And I've realized when it comes to like getting attacks in on the bosses and finding those openings, it's not like the traditional Souls combat where you're supposed to find the openings at the end of their combat strings and then go into it. You're more or less supposed to find those openings like in the middle of their combos. I don't know if that was the intended design of it, but at least when it comes to like any time that I fought them, that's what I found to work the best for me, is when I look in the middle of their combos. Like for example, Morgott in my most recent playthrough, rather than waiting till the end of his combos for the opening, I work my openings into his combos. So he'll be doing his swings and then he'll do a thing where he pulls out a hammer and I'm like, okay, that gives me a second to hit. So I hit him the second he pulls out his hammer, and then he'll start doing some swings. I dodge, and then he'll do another big wind up, and during that large wind up he does when he has his cane up in the air, I'll get in there, get like an R1 or 2, then I'll dodge away, and you just almost play it like a Bloodborne boss where you're dancing with it, but it's like this chaotic dance of death like the entire time. Like it's super fast paced. When I started tackling it that way, I watched my boss fight times shrink by over like 75%. Bosses that normally would have taken me like 8 to 10 minutes, I was melting in a few minutes. Like normally Fire Giant, I know Fire Giant isn't really relevant to this conversation because he really doesn't do the whole lock you into like a million combos, smash your face into oblivion or anything like that like some of the other bosses do, but I feel like it's still somewhat relevant. Like a boss that I used to play really safe and wait for those openings, I just kind of started working into him and playing really aggressively, and a boss that used to take me 8 to 10 minutes per attempt on New Game Zero, I ended up knocking out flawlessly first try on New Game Zero in about like, I don't know, 4 minutes tops. And when I say flawlessly, I do mean flawlessly. I literally beat Fire Giant without getting hit, and that, you know, if you fought Fire Giant, you know that's really not that hard because, you know, he's a big guy, his attacks aren't too hard to dodge, especially if you're using Torrent. But I was still proud of myself for that because that was a boss that I used to like criticize and hate a ton. And while I still do feel like there's some issues with that boss, I definitely don't think it's anywhere near as bad as I used to think that it was now that I just have more experience with it. If I were to critique that boss though, I would say that the HP is still just like, it's a little overtuned. It just feels like a bit much sometimes. And the fact that he rolls away so much just makes the fight feel more tedious than fun. And sure, at least in that fight, you have Torrent to catch up with him. Unlike with Elden Beast, I still have no idea why you can't use Torrent with Elden Beast. I mean, that would only, honestly, it makes sense in terms of the story to be able to use Torrent with Elden Beast. I mean, you start this whole epic journey, Torrent chooses you from the beginning, and I feel like it would almost be like poetic and beautiful in terms of the story to have Torrent there with you for the massive final battle to help you take down the Elden Beast. Now, I'm not saying that this necessarily would have been the most fun way to go about it, or that it would have been a fun thing to have to go through on repeat playthroughs, but just imagine if at the end of the final battle, you were allowed to use Torrent, and I don't know, for some reason, you're already in this magical lake area anyway. Imagine there was like these magical platforms that popped up, right? Then you had to use Torrent, and you had to like platform and jump across these different magical things that were popping up, and you had to keep going up and up and up until you get to this, like, I don't know, you get to this other magical platform right next to Elden Beast's head, and then you dismount off a Torrent, and then you do like a critical attack to his head right there, and then, I don't know, something like that, just something kind of like cinematic and cool. Would it be a little outlandish for Souls? Yeah, but this is also the same game where like Fire Giant exists, and you know, that in itself was like a really cinematic battle, so I don't really think it's too outlandish. Again, would that be the best way to go about it? Definitely not, but you know, it would have been cool to at least have Torrent there in some form or fashion and have him actually like work into the combat somehow for that final battle. You may be wondering why I'm going to Castle Sol, because, you know, in all technicality, I really don't need to be going here right now. But if you know what particular item is here after the boss, then you know what I'm planning. I was watching this sick video yesterday. I don't even remember the channel name. I think the channel's name was like Garden of Eyes or something like that, but they do a bunch of modding stuff. The first one that I seen was this one where they had all the demigod bosses in Elden Ring fight each other. Some of you have probably already seen it. The video had like millions of views, but it was so epic just seeing all the Elden Ring bosses clash and fight each other. Oh no, I'm not gonna die to some basic knight. I do not think so. It was just so epic seeing all the Elden Ring bosses fight each other, and as you could probably suspect, Millennia was the last one standing, and she won. I also seen this other one where they modded in like tanks and jets. It was crazy. I definitely recommend checking it out. Like I said, the channel name was Garden of Eyes, I think. Again, this is controversial, but I'm using a summon on this one because, again, it's a gang fight, and I can't do gang fight solo. My brain can't keep up with all of that. Also, I would love to know from you guys, which is better between Golden Vow, the normal spell, and the Golden Vow that my halberd has. Like, is there any difference in terms of how long they last or how much damage they actually inflict? Like, is one better than the other? And furthermore, do they stack? I mean, I'm probably sure they don't stack, but if they do stack, then I mean, I might utilize that. All right, now let's see if I can get Commander Niall down. I just did this boss fight in my new game 0-1, and I'm not gonna lie, I died a couple times to it. It was mainly just the frostbite though, and I was admittedly pretty underleveled by the time I got to him, but holy crap, dude, this guy is still taking a beating. These knights are really annoying. Maybe if I die, I should probably just come back here and try to take out the knights first, because they really get on my nerves. All right, Commander Niall, the Mimic is down. Oh no, I got frostbite, not again. Dodge, I couldn't even see what was going on, man. My own booty was like blocking the camera. I'm gonna be honest, of all the bosses in the game, Commander Niall is the last one I want to get stuck on. Like, this boss is not that hard, yet for some reason I always get stuck on it. Maybe it's just deceivingly hard. Maybe it is actually somewhat tough and I'm just deceiving myself. I also need to fix up my physical flask. I have no idea what's in there. I'm pretty sure I haven't even optimized that flask since I did my magic run, so nothing in there is probably even helping me right now anyway. All right, now can 2 tree sentinels take on Commander Niall? I am honestly not sure. Oh my god, dude, my Mimic tier is going in with the jump attacks with the halberd. He knows what's up. Oh no, I'm eating it already. Just gotta take out these summons as fast as possible. As soon as we can get these guys down, we are all good. All right, my Mimic tier is still like almost fully alive. I know I'm a wimp, but like I've said many times, I suck at this game, and I know it. New game 0, no summons, that's one thing. But new game plus, man, these enemies do so much freaking damage compared to new game 0. It is not even funny. I just can't do it alone on new game plus. I mean, you'd think it would be the opposite, but no. Plus, a lot of these enemies are just super tanky. I wish the AI could be like rebalanced or something like that, so that maybe like every other attack, the boss would switch aggro, because as it stands, these bosses, they focus on one enemy for way too long, and the fight is either way too hard or way too easy. And there we go, I'm dead again. Why am I struggling so hard on this fight, man? This isn't hard. If we ever see a Elden Ring 2, I kind of hope that they like rebalance the game and validate more of the builds in the game. The only main two that I could really think of for that is A, rebalancing like spirit summon and just like normal summon AI. Maybe rather than just having it focus on like one target until it dies, you know, maybe every other attack switch up which target that it goes after. Or maybe just have some sort of other thing, I don't really know. Maybe just treat it like a normal summon, and if you end up using a summon Ash, then the boss ends up getting more health, or maybe it does more damage or something like that. I also hope that magic could kind of get reworked in the next game, so then people stop getting criticized for using magic and, you know, having everyone call it easy mode, because as it stands, you know, it's hard to deny that magic is an easier way to play the game, but it just sucks that so many players have to get like almost bullied over it sometimes just because they chose a quote-unquote easier way to play the game, and therefore in the eyes of the more hardcore players it just isn't deemed valid for some reason, which I think is kind of dumb when you consider the fact that it isn't even the player's fault. Maybe they just like magic. Maybe they like the fantasy of it. If anything, they should be taking that up with like From Software to balance the game better, if anything. I don't even necessarily know how they could combat... Whoa, how am I... Dude, I literally have like 0 HP right now. Hold up. Heal, heal, heal. I don't even know how they could go about balancing it, but maybe have like bosses have more defenses or counters to magic. Like Tree Sentinel, that is a phenomenal example. While yes, you can kind of stay at a distance on your horse and shoot it to death with your magic pebbles or whatever, the Tree Sentinel does also have his shield, which, you know, deflects and blocks magic or whatever. And there we go, I'm dead again. This fight is not hard. Why am I dying? This is not a hard fight. This is not a hard boss. But the way that Tree Sentinel is able to like absorb magic in his shield and then like use it against the player, if they could find a way to like implement stuff like that into other bosses in the game, I feel like then that would really help magic be considered valid by the fan base. Which, let's be honest, we're all playing the same game here, and you spent your $60 to play the game. Any way that you choose to play, no matter what build, style, summons or no summons, like whatever you choose, it's completely valid. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. If you're having fun, you're playing the game the right way. However, it is hard to deny that it would be nice if things could just be retweaked a little bit for the next game. Alright, now right now I just need to focus up, and I completely forgot to summon in my Mimic Ash because I was too busy using all my freaking buffs. Real hard part about this fight is like all of the frostbite and stuff. I'm not exactly sure what causes that to trigger. It seems like he starts to do it every time that I defeat his knight, so maybe I should take him out first? I'm not sure. How good are jump attacks with this thing? I was told that like jump attacking with the halberd is a good strat. Charge attack? Oh no. Okay, 1450 for a charge attack. See, that's not the best. And I'm dead again. Frostbite, we love you. Why? I don't understand it. What am I doing wrong here? Frostbite sucks so bad. So tempting to convert to my old ways just for a second. Just whip out the Lion's Claw and go crazy. Commander Niall isn't a main boss in the game. My only goal was to beat the main bosses as a Tree Sentinel. All of the longtime viewers of the channel know what's about to happen. If you're new to this channel, I would like to introduce you to our original character here. His name is Buff Asian Boy. He has been through a lot. His origins start in DS2. It took him a lot of willpower and dedication, but he conquered DS2. He has also conquered DS3, Bloodborne, is working on Sekiro, Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 1. And of course, Elden Ring. Needless to say, Buff Asian Boy has been through a lot. However, as long as Buff Asian Boy has his greatsword, there is nothing that he cannot overcome. And not only with his greatsword is he stronger, but with the Lion's Claw, he is the strongest he can ever be. He is potentially the strongest, not even a human being, he is the strongest beast that will ever be. Look at this. You cannot beat Buff Asian Boy. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think you know. Buff Asian Boy is truly unstoppable. Come on, one more hit. And just like that, Commander Niall is down. Great enemy felled. That is the power of Buff Asian Boy, ladies and gentlemen. That is why he is so legendary. Buff Asian Boy did what a Tree Sentinel could not. Anyways, I hope you guys are excited for the next episode where we will finally, I promise, be taking down Fire Giant as a Tree Sentinel. Anyway, as always, a shout out to the Patrons and channel members: Karma's Fig, Grandma, Lubity Tab, Big Daddy, Maddie, Chulubasaurus Rex, Razak, Polar, Ray, Webster, Lamas, Bianca, Spurgatory, Drippy Sant, Mellow Asking, Peter Magic, Mason Irving, TJY15, Flimmy 71, Aaron Reynolds, and Unknown. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. And remember, don't go hollow. Peace.